Hello, my name is Guerreiro and I'll present on behalf of our team at the University of Lisbon the work entitled Exploring Aiming Techniques for Blind People in Virtual Reality. The number of VR applications is growing rapidly and span a variety of domains, from gaming and entertainment to education, work and healthcare. Ensuring these applications are accessible is essential to make these technologies a driver for inclusion and not exclusion so that everyone can be part of VR experiences. The high-quality graphics of head-mounted displays in particular have contributed to the growth and immersion of VR technologies. However, an over-reliance on visual feedback to both understand and interact with the environment ends up either excluding or delivering very poor experiences to blind people. But VR's affordances extend beyond its visuals. Features like head and hand tracking establish a direct link between actions in the physical and virtual worlds, such as rotating the head or body to change direction or using hand gestures to interact with virtual objects. These affordances increase immersion and have the potential to make VR applications more accessible. In this work, we investigate a very common but challenging task, aiming. Aiming is essential in various applications, from shooting and target-based games to navigation techniques like point and teleport and interacting with menus or objects in the environment. However, performing aiming tasks without vision is difficult, especially at distant targets. So in this paper, we explored how to support blind people in aiming tasks in VR. For that, we built a VR archery prototype for the MetaQuest 2 using Unity. The virtual environment is a simple empty room with a target positioned in the wall in front of the user. To simplify aiming, users shoot with a crossbow, balancing ease of use and the arrow's travel time. After each shot, audio feedback indicates where the arrow lands, meaning on target, giving 1 to 5 points, or on the wall, floor, or ceiling. We then implemented 3 aiming techniques: spatialized audio, target confirmation, and Reticle-Target Perspective. Spatialized audio is our baseline technique. It represents the common behavior of locating targets non-visually, where the sound of a target, for instance an enemy, is the only cue to locate it. In our archery experience, the target emits a spatialized sound to convey its location. In addition, we introduce a cue to assist in verticality, as both prior work and our own preliminary assessments noted a greater difficulty in perceiving differences in height. We use the sound pitch, where a lower pitch means the user is aiming too low, while a higher pitch would be too high. In this video, we'll first hear the differences in pitch and then differences in spatial orientation of the sound, as the user turns their head to the right or left, which can be more easily perceived if using headphones. Target confirmation is built on top of spatialized audio, meaning it has the exact same feedback as the one described earlier, but adds secondary beep sounds that play when the user aims close enough to the target. While the first sound source is related to the head location and orientation, the secondary sound depends on the controller's orientation. This video briefly shows the user aiming, first further from the target, but then right at it and shooting.
Dois pontos.
Reticle-Target Perspective shifts the user's audio perspective from the user's head to the aiming reticle. Technically, it means the audio listener is at the reticle, so where the user is pointing at, rather than their head, meaning that the feedback is determined by where the user is pointing at. By conveying the spatial relationship between the aiming reticle and the target, this approach moves the audio perspective to the same depth plane as the target, enhancing horizontal feedback. This means that if the user hears the target on the right, should aim further to the right. In this video, we can see clear differences in volume, but also in the laterality of the sound when aiming further away from the target. understand how the three techniques support blind people in aiming tasks in VR, we conducted a user study with 15 blind participants. We wanted to answer the following research questions. What are the differences among spatialized audio, target confirmation, and reticle-target perspective regarding performance and user preference, and how the different techniques support aiming at stationary and moving targets. For the study, we used the VR archery prototype with the headphones connected to the Quest 2 to enhance spatialized audio. We used a within subjects design where participants tried the three techniques in a counterbalanced order, but always starting with stationary targets, progressing then to moving targets only if they hit at least 2 targets to avoid frustration. For each technique, participants practiced in a learning environment, and then after the study, they conducted a semi-structured interview to gain further insights about their preferences. As for the task itself, participants had a maximum of 15 shots or 5 minutes. Targets would change their position after being hit or when participants missed 5 times. The final score is given by the sum of the points where hitting the target can give 1 to 5 points. I will now present the main lessons learned that reflect our results. Target confirmation and reticle-target perspective clearly outperformed the baseline spatialized audio, which was expected. Using spatialized audio alone was extremely difficult, and only 2 participants were able to hit more than 2 targets with stationary targets, showing the difficulty in perceiving small differences at a distance. The chart shows the number of points per participant, where target confirmation has an average of 8 points approximately, while reticle target close to 11 with stationary targets. The scores decrease significantly with moving targets, with averages between 1 and 3. However, there were no significant differences between target confirmation and reticle target perspective. A closer look at the offset of the target noted that reticle target perspective had a significantly lower horizontal offset than target confirmation with stationary targets. P9, for instance, justified this by saying, "This bidirectionality of the sound, for me at least, made it a little easier to understand the position of the target." However, results also show a higher vertical offset in the moving targets condition, suggesting this technique could eventually benefit from pitch differences. Both results and preferences were highly user-dependent. 7 participants preferred target confirmation, while 8 preferred reticle target perspective. And these seemed to be based on personal characteristics and prior experiences. For instance, all 3 participants who were congenitally blind or had an early blindness onset preferred reticle target perspective, which may be linked with differences in spatial reference systems of early and late blind participants. On the other hand, participants preferring target confirmation enjoyed having a secondary beep sound clearly confirming proximity to the target, while others ended up first aligning their right or left ear with the target to better identify its location. However, the overall results and participants' feeling was that the task was too difficult, likely due to the distance to the target and its size, but also suggesting some of the techniques could be improved, for instance by increasing the differences in pitch or beep sounds between on-target and close-to-target locations. Future work may also try to find a balance between the challenge and assistance provided to users as a way to improve engagement and avoid frustration. For instance, some participants performed a slight movement of the wrist when shooting, which caused them to miss the target. By knowing this, future solutions may, for instance, try to reduce the effect of such last-second movements. To conclude, we implemented 3 VR aiming techniques for blind people and conducted a study with 15 blind participants. Our findings demonstrate the difficulty of the task while also showing the potential of non-visual aiming techniques that assist the user while not oversimplifying the experience. Target confirmation and reticle target perspective outperform the baseline spatialized audio, with preferences being highly user-dependent. Thank you.